Hello and welcome. I'm Felicity Ezewike, here with the stories making headlines beyond the continent. We begin in Brazil, where the civil defense says a passenger plane carrying 62 people has crashed on the outskirts of São Paulo. We understand that the Voepass plane left Cascavel and was en route to São Paulo when it lost signal shortly before 1:30 p.m. local time. A statement about airline Voepass flight 2283 was carrying 58 passengers and 4 crew at the time of the crash. However, the statement did not explain what caused the accident. In the meantime, at an event in southern Brazil, President Lula da Silva asked the crowd to stand and observe a minute of silence. In South America, Argentines have been reacting to the news that former President Alberto Fernández's ex-girlfriend has filed a complaint accusing him of physical abuse. The scandal erupted as graphic images purportedly showing Fernandez's alleged violence against his former partner surfaced online. A complaint was lodged on Tuesday by Fernandez's 43-year-old ex-girlfriend, Fabiola Yáñez. She alleges that he assaulted her during their relationship, which ended after he left office in 2023. Local media and social media platforms were abuzz on Thursday with the publication of 2 photographs of Yáñez, who ended her 9-year relationship with Fernandez last year and has now formally accused him of gender-based violence. And in the U.S., Donald Trump has proposed 3 debates with Kamala Harris this September, aiming to regain traction in the presidential race. Harris, buoyed by record fundraising and energized Democratic rallies, has surged in popularity, surpassing Trump's polling lead. Trump has scheduled debates with TV networks for September 4, 10, and 25. Harris has agreed to do the September 10 debate on ABC News, but there is no confirmation yet for the other dates.
And with all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates. And we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those 3 dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, which they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was.
In the meantime, Kamala Harris has expressed enthusiasm about the upcoming debate with Donald Trump on ABC News. When questioned in Detroit about Trump's previous attempts to withdraw, she expressed hope he will show up. The debate is set for September 10.
He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Let's tell you that UN spokesperson Liz Truss has denounced the passage of a bill in Peru that bars prosecution of crimes against humanity committed before 2002, saying it ran contrary to international law. According to Truss, the law contravenes the country's obligations under international law and is a troubling development amid a broader backlash against human rights and the rule of law in Peru. Recall that Peru's Congress last month passed the bill which could benefit convicted ex-president Alberto Fujimori and hundreds of former soldiers accused of abuses. If signed into law by Peruvian President Dina Boluarte, the legislation will scrap ongoing investigations into crimes committed during Peru's internal conflict, which left some 69,000 dead and 21,000 displaced between 1980 and 2000.
contravenes the country's obligations under international law and is a troubling development amid a broader backlash against human rights and the rule of law in Peru. Lack of accountability for these crimes, whenever committed, risks endangering the rights to truth, justice, reparations.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights has expressed deep concern over the recent surge in executions in Iran. According to the spokesperson for the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Liz Trussell, at least 345 executions have been reported in Iran this year, including 15 women. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk on Friday said the majority of those executed were convicted of drug-related offenses or murder. Turk emphasized that the death penalty is incompatible with international human rights norms and standards, particularly when applied to offenses that do not involve intentional killing.
UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, is extremely concerned about reports that in the space of 2 days this week, Iranian authorities reportedly executed at least 29 people across the country. We've also verified that 38 people were executed in July. Now, this brings the reported number of executions to at least 345 this year, and among them 15 women. Imposing the death penalty for offences not involving intentional killing is incompatible with international human rights norms and standards, as we have repeatedly emphasised.
To Europe now, where police in Northern Ireland have issued an update as Belfast braces for further protest following several days of unrest. Assistant Chief Constable Melanie Jones said there will be a significant visible policing presence in Belfast as protests both supporting and opposing immigration are scheduled to take place later on Friday outside City Hall. Jones announced that their forces will be reinforced by officers from Scotland, emphasizing that Belfast is a vibrant and diverse city. She also highlighted that only a small minority are engaging in the unrest and assured the public that those responsible will be found, arrested and brought to justice.
I want to speak to you all ahead of what undoubtedly will be a very busy weekend for policing across Northern Ireland. There are further planned protests this evening, and over the weekend there is a risk of spontaneous protest. We will have a significant visible policing operation in place across Northern Ireland to ensure that everyone is kept safe. We will be supporting the right to peaceful protest that is lawful, but this does not extend into intimidation, harassment or disorder. It is time for our communities to call this out for what it is. It is wrong and it is not acceptable. The scenes we have seen across Belfast over the last week have been a disgrace. They have no place in our communities. Those who are intent on causing disorder or committing offences will be brought to justice. Anyone contemplating getting involved needs to understand the consequences of their actions. We will use all lawful means and tactics at our disposal to gather evidence.
Some violent offenders were on Friday sentenced live on television as UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer issued a stern warning against those spreading misinformation online. At Leeds Crown Court on Friday, 4 men had their sentences streamed, while 6,000 specialist officers braced for potential violence over the weekend. Among those sentenced was 28-year-old Jordan Pallo from Leeds, who received a 20-month prison term for posting a threatening message on Facebook urging violence against the Britannia Hotel. Acting head of CPS Special Crime and Counter-Terrorism Branch, Rosemary Aimsell, has advised anyone considering inciting racial hatred from behind a keyboard to reconsider their actions.
It is for the courts to determine the appropriate sentences for violent incidents of this nature. Given the nationwide context of the violence, and in order to provide punishment and deterrence, in accordance with the overarching principles of sentencing, severe sentences will follow for those who are found to have participated in incidents of violence or incited them. Recognised on your behalf, this offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. You will serve up to 1/2 of your sentence in custody before you are released on licence. If you fail to abide by the conditions of your licence, you can be returned to prison to serve some or all of the remainder of the custodial term. You have been committed for sentence, having pleaded guilty to an offence of publishing written material which is threatening, abusive or insulting, intending thereby to stir up racial hatred. The context of your offending is that it arises out of the civil unrest and disorder in many parts of the United Kingdom.
Let's go on a short break now. We have more stories when we return. You stay with us. Glad to know you're still with us. Let's now tell you that the exiled former Catalan leader, Carles Puigdemont, has once again evaded Spanish authorities, slipping out of the country despite an intense police manhunt. Spanish officials launched a search for Puigdemont after he made a surprise return to Spain, where he briefly addressed a crowd in Barcelona before disappearing. The 61-year-old is wanted on charges related to the failed Catalan independence bid in 2017. According to his party's Secretary General, Puigdemont has now returned to Belgium, where he resides following a dramatic 24 hours on the run. At least 10 people have been confirmed dead and 35 others injured following a Russian missile strike on a supermarket in the Ukrainian town of Kostyernivka in the frontline Donetsk region on Friday. The Interior Minister reported that the strike caused a fire, which has now been extinguished. President Volodymyr Zelensky stated on X that Russian forces targeted not only the supermarket but also a post office, and he confirmed that people remain trapped under the rubble. Emergency services are actively working to locate and rescue survivors. The regional governor initially said Russia used artillery, but later said the attack was from an X-38 air-to-surface missile.
З'ясовують повні обставини, шукають ймовірно людей.
Первым делом я начинаю просто вылазить из этого стола и искать телефон. Телефон не нашла, в общем, начали все выбегать. Там, где был привычный выход из эко, он был полностью завален, и там вообще невозможно было пройти. Мы начали вылезать в окно, получается, там все перекладины попадали, мы еле через них вылезли. А потом оборачиваемся, смотрим, просто вообще нету, просто начинает все гореть, почта горит, дымит. Я начинала убегать в одну сторону, коллега убежала в другую.
Скажите...
С Юармсой девочка Саша была, я до сих пор найти не могу. А так, наверное, остальные... получается, соседка наша напротив, она целая была, тоже выбиралась. А так остальных вообще не знаю, там просто как белая пелена стояла.
In Asia, Japan has issued its first ever alert for a potential megaquake just hours after a magnitude 7.1 tremor struck. The country's meteorological agency warned that the likelihood of a major earthquake near the Nankai Throg is higher than usual, with an estimated strength of up to magnitude 9.1. While the advisory, expected to remain in place for a week, does not guarantee that a megaquake will occur, authorities are urging residents in the region to be prepared for evacuation. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has cancelled a planned visit to Kazakhstan in light of the warning, stating that people will be feeling anxious. The mega quake alert was issued just over 2 hours after the initial tremor struck off the coast of Miyazaki Prefecture, where 3 people were reportedly injured. Following the Supreme Court's upholding of disciplinary proceedings against them, 2 government ministers who had defected from Sri Lanka's main opposition were removed from their positions in the cabinet on Friday. The decision came ahead of presidential elections next month, the first vote since the unprecedented economic crisis of 2022, when months of protests toppled then-President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Manusha Nanayakara, the Minister of Labour, and Harim Fernando, the Minister of Tourism, have shifted sides to support President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is getting ready for the vote on September 21. The minister's former party, SJB, suspended their membership, which the court on Friday upheld, requiring the duo to quit the parliament and cabinet in a setback for Wickremesinghe. Hindus in Bangladesh have taken to the streets to protest recent attacks on their homes and businesses following the ousting of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Demonstrators are calling for justice in the wake of these violent incidents. This week, hundreds of Hindus who are viewed as supporters of Hasina have gathered at the Indian border attempting to cross into India.
সালে স্বৈরশাসন যে পতন হলো, তারপরে আমাদের আনন্দ মিছিল করার কথা ছিল, তাই নয় কি? তাহলে কেন আমরা এখানে আজকে বিক্ষোভ মিছিল করতে এসেছি? 2024 সালে স্বাধীনতা সবার। এখানে স্বাধীন হওয়ার পরে কি হারে হিন্দু সমাজের মানুষদের ওপর অত্যাচার, হামলা, লুটপাট, অগ্নিসংযোগ এগুলো করা হলো, এর বিচার চাই। এগুলো কেন করা হলো? স্বাধীনতা সবার না? এই দেশের আমরা নাগরিক না?
এক পক্ষ হচ্ছে আপনার 17 বছর ধরে তারা জেলে ছিল, বিভিন্ন ভাবে জেলে ছিল, সেটা বিএনপি কর্মী হতে পারে, সেটা সাধারণ জনতা হতে পারে। তারা যখন 17 বছর জেলে ছিল তাদের একটা ক্ষোভ জন্মেছে, আক্রোশ জন্মেছে। সেই আক্রোশটা মেটানোর জন্য তারা বাংলাদেশের অসংখ্য সংখ্যালঘুদের বাড়িতে সহ আমাদের মুসলিম ভাইদের বাড়িতেও ভাঙচুর, হামলা, লুটপাট।
Finally, in sports, Pakistan Ashad Nadeem won the men's Olympic javelin title in Paris, his country's first individual gold at the Summer Games. Nadeem threw an Olympic record of 92.97 meters for victory. India's defending champion Neeraj Chopra taking silver with 89.45. Grenadines Anderson Peters claimed bronze with 88.54 meters. Nadeem, the 2022 Commonwealth champion who was 5th at the Tokyo Olympics and a silver medalist at last year's Budapest World Championships, said the result was very important for Pakistan because he had worked very hard over the years for it. Well, congratulations to him. And that's all on Beyond the Continent at this hour. Would love to hear from you. Please use the number on your screen now to send us messages, or you can do that on social media at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'll see you much later.